Good morning to all of you. We are here today for our Bible study, which is going to be quite different today. But today is actually a year of being doing live streaming in our Catholic community in Central Racine. So for this, we have prepared something different for all of you. When we started back in March last year, we didn't know what we were doing, and we still don't know. We just have a few problems with Eloy, but anyway, so we are here with you in this moment, in this beautiful time. So a year ago when we started the online ministry, that was actually an idea that Eloy had and have told me like a while back before even all this pandemic started, that he wanted to have some kind of online ministry to serve the people homebound. And then, of course, the pandemic started, and then it was just something that we began. And I remember that this whole idea of planning and doing something online started on our trip in the Dominican Republic. And I wanted Lloyd to tell us what was the process, because I remember the conversation very vividly, and he was kind of, why don't you tell us?
For a long time, I was telling Father Juan about doing the online ministry, and like Father Juan, usually it's when he says he's going to do something, he doesn't, but for some reason it wasn't happening. But as we were down in the Dominican Republic, as kind of COVID was becoming real, things started to really kind of happen really fast, in a sense that we were down in this country, we weren't sure what was going on. I mean, we were in this country where we didn't have access to radio. We did have internet, but very limited access to any kind of radio. So we didn't know what was really going on in the country. We would hear some updates, but we didn't know the severity of it. And as we were down there, we started to hear words about things about shutting down. And Archbishop Listecki had first said that Mass was not we didn't have an obligation or something. He lifted the obligation of attending Sunday Mass, and so it was optional. And also then the sign of peace, we were given the sign of peace. So things were kind of, as we left, things were happening where some changes were happening to the Mass. But down there was no Mass. As we were ready, we kind of were wrapping up our trip down in the Dominican Republic, and there was no more Mass. And we sat down, Father Juan and I, and we were like, Father Juan, dude, there's no Mass. What are we going to do? Dude, I said, you know what? We'll just do it with our cell phone. We'll make sure that we do it. And so we were kind of determined that as we got back, I think we got back, Dulce, on what day was it on? On a Tuesday. So from Tuesday to the first Sunday that we were back, Father Juan said, when we get back, we'll just do some sort of Mass somehow. And so that was kind of the birth of our online ministry.
Okay, he didn't tell you the way it was, but anyway, so he was like, using a more strong word, he was freaking out at the airport. And actually, I also have to change my flight. I was planning to stay a few more days in the Dominican Republic with the parishioners of mine where I used to be there, and because of COVID, I decided to change my flight, and it was a good thing that I did, because otherwise, like the day we left and the next day they closed down the country and nobody could live out of there. So I left by chance.
We were in the air when it was like we got on our flight, and mid-air there was something that came through where the Dominican Republic actually shut things down. And in fact, we were in the airport. Yeah, there was a family from Norway that Europe had already shut down, and they couldn't get home. And as soon as we got in, it was getting on there. It was kind of like, and when we landed, we were hurdled through customs. They wanted us through there. I even remember like feeling how flight attendants were feeling on these flights. I really, because this was before the mask. Do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? There was no mask. And I remember even at one of the airports in Georgia, where Dulce asked a pilot to take a picture with him, and I was hesitant that he would even do it. And he willingly did it, but I thought, man, this guy's taking a gamble with even here we are on an international flight, and he's doing it for us. I mean, there was just so unknowns at the time.
Yeah, nobody knew anything. So that's kind of how we decided that first Sunday to start live streaming our masses, which we had a lot of problems. And there is where comes in our surprise for you. So we have here with us Dave Tuttle, who is from St. Edward's Parish. We have Kathy Garsky from here at St. Richard's. We have Cheryl Mueller from St. Patrick's. And then we have Joy. Of course, we cannot left Joy out because Joy has been the Daily Mass voice. Well, she was for a while the Daily Mass voice for our online masses, and then as we came back, we start having other people reading for us. But Joy has been also there, our fun through the masses and live stream. So this was kind of the anxiety that we all lived down there in the Dominican Republic as we were coming back, and we were like thinking what's going to happen. So what was some of your thoughts as the pandemic started to, go like start, yeah, started to start. So anybody, any of you, what was those feelings that you were going through as things were like, listening? You are people of great faith, and you are people of church and coming and sharing, and then when you suddenly hear that there is not going to be mass, what was going on in your minds? So anyone jump in?
In my life. So much so that when I was in Nicaragua as a missionary, I would ask to take communion with me when I went out for 10 days. Mm-hmm. So when all of a sudden there's no mass, there's no church to go to, it was a whole change in our lives, for one thing. And then to figure out, thank you for doing the online ministry, but then to figure out, oh my gosh, I don't have a Facebook account. Oh, but I have a smart TV now, so I can go from the little screen on the computer to the television screen, and they don't always coincide, so you try to, we sign in, one of us will sign in on Facebook, and then I'll have the TV going, and because it's bigger and it's easier, and I have found it really enriching, and I really want to compliment Joy on your reading. Seriously. Yeah. I'm a lector also, and you too, Kathy, but I know you were there like every day, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I appreciated that.
Great. So, any other?
For me, it became real last Holy Thursday. Mm-hmm. I was asked to be one of the lectors, and not having gone to Mass for a little while, mm-hmm. watching it online, but then going to Mass on Holy Thursday, and being there with just the priest and Eloy and Dulce, and it was just a handful of people. It was actually very emotional to sit in that empty church. That's when it really hit for me.
I remember talking to you
yes.
on a Holy Thursday, and we both were in shock. Like, you were like, it's so empty. And I remember just having that conversation because it all felt just not real.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that was a really difficult, and on our side and on my side, doing the first Mass, and I didn't look at okay, Eloy, don't shake your head, but yeah, I did. I didn't know how to speak to a camera before, and I didn't know how to do a Mass for people who are behind the camera, and it was kind of a learning process there that I needed to be speaking to. My temptation was to speak to Eloy or to Dulce that were around, and okay, but I'm doing the Mass for you guys at home, and it was some kind of really, it was hard to celebrate Mass without people. I know that the people were at home, but in church, yeah.
I had just, probably a week before the shutdown here, I had just gone to my cardiologist. Mm-hmm. And he really put the fear into me. And honestly, I left his office thinking, oh, it's really not this bad. He's trying to scare me into being cautious. And at that time, we were doing the renovations at St. Ed's, mm-hmm. and we were tearing things up and moving pews, and we had our buildings and grounds crew there. And all of a sudden, we're like, what are we going to do? We can't just stop in the middle of this renovation, Mm-hmm. So we did what we could at the time, and a lot of the work still continued. Some of us stepped out. I was one that stepped out because both my wife and I have, obviously health conditions. And then, with grandkids, we had 8 grandkids, 4 of which came to our house every morning and ate breakfast with us, and we got them on the bus every day. And suddenly they're not there. And that's when it really started hitting, is, everything has changed. And, what are we going to do? I mean, I'm used to going to church on Sunday and being a Eucharistic minister and ushering and doing all the things that we always did. And all of a sudden, it's like there's, we've got this new renovated church and no one's going to see it. And that, it was really kind of a hole, I guess.
Yeah.
It was very difficult to see. So.
The shutdown was difficult for us with grandkids too, and it was like 2 months before the 4-year-old came back to our house, and she just stood there. She just literally stood there while we watched the Mass on the computer at that time. Because she had gone to church with us, but she didn't know what to do coming back to the house after those 2 months.
It was really hard.
One of the things was when we got into town was, and we checked in, just that first week, I remember going to the store and telling my wife, well, this will be over in a couple of weeks. And I really didn't anticipate it being this long. I thought it would kind of be over. And I think there was some sense of, who's been in a pandemic before, nobody hasn't, so I thought this would just be over. And then when the stores started to go on where you couldn't buy hamburger meat, it just started to really start to sink in that, wow, this is not good. This is really real.
Yeah, I know. I see Joy trying to jump in and go for it.
No, no, I'm just listening to everybody. And one thing about the live stream, it made me feel very connected to everybody. I just felt it was a lifesaver. It's very hard to express how I felt, but that's what it was. And living by myself, that's a big deal, to feel connected to people.
Absolutely.
And I think too, getting to know who you were, because I was watching online, but also getting to know people through their comments, their prayers, their concerns. Even at a daily Mass, we don't do that. We don't say, pray for this friend of mine, or pray for so-and-so, or, pray for this family, or it was, and even in my own life, I put on things there. I mean, I have 2 cousins died during this time, and not of COVID, but it's like, I need that support of the community, and I'm willing to give the support to others. And that online sharing is something that we don't normally do.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yes, one of the things that the other question that I wanted to ask to all of you was about what does the online ministry mean to you? And I think I'm going to start answering that question for you, and then you could answer your piece. But it was right there, like what you just mentioned it. For us, Anthony and I, we came 2 years ago to the parish. We were just kind of getting our feet wet into the parish, and then the pandemic hit. We came with more or less the idea that we needed to start working together, the 3 parishes, and of course, how do you do that? Each parish has their own culture, their own way of being a parish and a faith community. We have the added richness of having the Hispanic community in St. Patrick's, which that adds a lot of, that in itself, St. Patrick's is 2 communities in one, and so all that was kind of something that we were thinking, and we even started to do the pastoral councils together, but then we met once, I think, or twice, and then we couldn't meet together again, and it was all the pandemic. And I think when I look back into the whole pandemic and the whole online ministry, I think what it did was to help us create community. And this is precisely what you said. I mean, suddenly people who would not go to daily Mass together to one building or the other building, they were now together on mass, daily mass. And that was something that they started just to see. And people in St. Patrick's, St. Richard's, and St. Edward's, everybody came together for the mass there. Online, of course, from the sanctity of your homes, but you came together to mass. And that before the pandemic, we never were able to do that. We have masses in here, in St. Edward's. St. Patrick's doesn't have a daily mass in English, but we have a Spanish mass. But we didn't have like the whole people coming from the three parishes coming to one of the parishes. But with the pandemic, we got this. And even somebody make a comment, and I'm not gonna call him out, but say, Father, you are the first priest who made me go to daily mass after the high school, you know? So, I mean, yeah.
Seriously, it's grade school.
Yeah.
I have not attended mass over 50 years ago.
So yeah, I mean, it meant for Anthony and I, it meant a lot to be able to create community. We were silently, we couldn't do it the way we wanted to do it, but now through technology, and thanks Eloy and Dulce for their support, because honestly, when I look back at the online ministry and I say like, okay, I do have the passion to do things and I do have that, but I don't have the patience to work with all these things. That's the first thing. And secondly, I don't have the knowledge. I mean, and then Eloy came up with things, and we were working it out, and I know you have to watch a lot of YouTube videos to start knowing how to do it. And you have a wonderful daughter who is always there to help you. So, but yeah, we created this community. And so what does the online ministry or this new way of being community in the Catholic community in Central Racine means to you?
It's definitely created a sense of community. Before it was just I belonged to St. Richard's. Mm-hmm. And now when I talk about it, I think I belong to the CCCR. Mm-hmm. And one thing that happened that would not have happened had it not been for the online ministry is one of the daily masses, I asked if we could pray for my brother who was having heart issues. Mm-hmm. He had been hospitalized. And after Mass, Lair Westrich from St. Ed's, who I did not know, I knew he was online, but I did not know him. He reached out to me through Facebook Messenger, and we don't talk all the time, but every couple weeks, one or the other will send a message back and forth. And we've created a relationship, and I told him, I said, I can't wait till I can meet you in person. Mm-hmm. You know, and that would not have happened if it were not for the online ministry.
Yeah, I think it's everybody getting to, I think everybody started to know other people and getting friendships, and certainly, yeah.
I think too, a lot of people who would normally go to the Spanish Mass but are bilingual have been showing up online.
Yeah.
And being a bilingual person myself, what I have missed also is going to the Spanish Masses, because I was always concerned that they would be too full.
They are.
Right, and so I didn't want to take the place of someone who only spoke Spanish. Mm-hmm. But I did notice that there were also people participating who were bilingual from St. Pat's.
Yes.
And what you said, Kathy, about always St. Richard, when I lived in Fond du Lac for 12 years, we would come back once a month to see our kids here in Racine, and we would come to St. Richard's. So I've always felt part of both places and never really felt like I just belonged to St. Pat's. So, but St. Ed's is kind of a mystery to me. So it's been good to see more. I mean, I've been there.
You are welcome to come to Mass there at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and 9 o'clock on Sundays.
Online ministry with St. Ed's has given me also a sense of that's the other section of the other part of our parishes.
Right. That was one of the things that we is pushing around to like, let's try to do it in the other places, and he always would say, well, we have to look at the technicalities, and no, I want this to happen, and the poor guy works too hard to make it happen. But we have been able to do that, to be able to kind of going through the different parishes, and it's beautiful. I understand that we all have our connection with the places and the churches that are, and it's beautiful to suddenly come to Mass and see your parish, it's a beautiful thing. And also the other people can see, as you mentioned, no, St. Edward's is a mystery to me. Yeah, well, now you can see that's the building. Oh, I want to go, or St. Richard's or St. Patrick's, and it's a beautiful connection that we have created. So yeah.
You know, I really like how I've always felt the connection with, you know, working with the three parishes, with the youth, being in the youth ministry, but when we started to do the online ministry, I was happy that we were able to. Father Juan's like he's a vision. He's always a go-getter. He's like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, and
Don't make fun of my accent. Okay?
and the funny part was that we started from a cell phone. You know, we started from there. If you go back to a year ago, in the next couple of days, you'll see that video of which, you know, Father Juan's up there doing the live stream. And if somebody, I think it was Deacon Howard one day, we were doing a daily mass, and he pulls the door, and Father Juan's like, you know, send down your. So during the concert, I mean, he was one of those that he could not. He's always like, if something was, it got to the point where, you know, Dulce would put on the camera, smile, look at me, this is where you need to be.
I did observe that.
They have things in the camera, and then on the floor like a box that I couldn't get out of. Can you imagine like boxing me in?
We have a box where he has to stand or he'll get out of frame. It's still there. It's a memory.
It's a memory, yeah. But
And it's great, you know, we now have these, you know, we have, you know, in society we have these social cues. When it comes to online streaming, we do have these verbal cues or visual cues where he now can read me and I can read him when it's time for us to kind of go. Because we've had to kind of continuously adapt to coming back now. You know, now he's now addressing people to coming back into the parishes, and he's now addressing people at home and the people in the pews and paying attention. So he had gotten to speaking to people through the camera, but now he's kind of using both sides of his brain, the left and the right, because he's talking to people now in the pews and also the people at home. You know, so it's been very adaptable.
one of the things that many other people have mentioned, and as Joy mentioned, is the being able to be connected. And for some reason, and that's probably Eloy's gift and Dulce having everything in the camera to make me feel like talking to the camera. So for some reason, people really think and feel. And actually, we actually also invited Tom Detterman, but he couldn't make it here today. But he kind of one of the ones that called me, Father, you made me feel part of the church in the Mass, and it's a beautiful thing for us to be able to be connected. Of course, we are not in person, but that connection, like pray for my brother, pray for somebody else, pray for this. It's beautiful. It's really.
And I even loved it when we were doing these, and when you live stream, there's a delay. So if you are telling me what was happening was that people were saying, Eloy, the sound, well, this was 30 seconds ago. And so I would tell people, okay, here's my cell phone. Don't put it in the comments, because by the time you put it there, I probably have fixed it. So there was countless text messages from Kathy Garsky. I remember Kathy Garsky. Kathy, please don't text message me. Don't send it through there, because I wouldn't see them in time. Or, Dave, I get, messages, or emails, that this is what had happened. But so it was a work in progress. One of the things, and I have to share this, is that as we had started, it was trial and error. It was trial and error. And so Father Juan would get the credit card bill, and he'd have to approve it and say, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you buying this for? And I'm like, dude, you want this to be, you want this right or not? And so it was an investment, and it took the community support that to support this ministry, that it was trial and error. And the some of these devices that we have, literally they're like $100. They were like selling at the time because every church was doing what we were doing, and so what was $100 part, they were wanting $500 for it. So so we were facing some of these price gouging. We waited it out, but it was happening. So.
Well, I made you wait.
He made me
Nah,
wait.
I'm kidding. And the people who know me, I'm not a spender, so I would always give him a front or something like, "What are you doing?" But of course, it was for the best of being connected and reaching out to you, and I think it's paid well in terms that you who are here, you are a sample of the people who have been committed from the beginning, and we have created this online ecosystem there that we have several people like on daily basis for daily mass, which I always like when I discuss and talk about it, because you always have the dilemma like, okay, when should we what should we? No, we're not going to stop. I don't know. But we are always asking ourselves, no, like how Eloy asking me, like how long? Well, as long as we have people. So that's my principle for anything. You know, as long as people are interested in it, so we're doing it. But you see that there's people who are coming back, like daily mass goers, people who, and I see, okay, I love what you talk about, like the love for the Eucharist. But at the same time, like the daily mass and being able to come and sharing that, even if you don't participate in the Eucharist, and maybe from the comfort of being at home, and I'm like, okay, I could just, going to church will be too much for me today, but participate this half an hour in here, it will be great, and I still be in contact with my community. And I think that's a dimension that I do like, and I think it's good. Probably some other priest will tell me, no, you have to close it down because people need to be in church. But I honestly, I think that's the connection. Like daily mass, for example. Daily mass is not, I mean, Sunday is Sunday obligation and it's different, but daily mass is something that we do it for, as you would say, like devotion or like a practice that you want to fill your day with prayer and daily mass and so on.
This is really, sitting in my own holy place at home has been much more prayerful than the distractions when I go to daily mass. And so I'm like, now I have to decide whether I'm going to get up in the morning and actually get in the car and drive to church when daily masses come back, or if I'm going to continue, if you're going to continue, to participate online because of the power of that experience.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a wonderful connection. I'm very happy and thrilled to do that, and I didn't pronounce it well. But yeah, it's beautiful, the community that we have created, and I do hope, my hope for this is that which we created online at some point transcends the online boundaries and becomes something in person or real it's real already, but in person for the 3 parishes of the Catholic community in Central Racine. And I know that you who are here are a sample of what is that in online, and you have the word to push forward that, because we have created, as you mentioned, you just create a friendship with someone you never expected to. You came back to daily mass after 50 years of going to high school and grade school. You know, you used to go to daily mass, but you guys will go most of the time to St. Rita. And then now you participate in, I mean, it's all these beautiful connections and what we have created.
Out of especially daily mass is normally we go to church on Sunday and we see one priest. And whether it's you, Father Anthony, or Father Ron, whoever it is, we get to know each priest individually. We don't get to know you together. And between the Bible studies and some of the masses, especially on Fridays with you and Father Ron, some of the stories and the joking around, if you want to call it that, the pig's feet, the whole bit. It really, I mean, it puts something more to it to know that you are closest to each other as well.
Yeah, thank you for breaking that up, because that's also like Father Ron and I, we discuss it, and of course he's doing the mass, and I'm just standing there by his side, and you may wonder, well, you don't need to be here, but I think he doesn't mind, and I enjoy being there. But, and again, it's kind of like the good sense of humor that goes around, and now I'm afraid to come on Fridays to Mass because I don't know what she's gonna come up with. But it's just it's a beautiful also getting together and being able to participate and pray together, and for once being in Mass that I'm not responsible for doing anything other than just being there is also good. Great.
I call our Fridays the Father Ron and Juan show.
I think a lot of like the daily mass. I know I didn't go to daily mass like every day. Like it was like before the pandemic and everything. I just go on Sunday or Saturday with my family, and once the pandemic hit, we started going every day. And our mornings were like, when we first started, I wasn't a part of it when we first started because they were limiting people, but I started getting like begging my dad to let me go with him because it's just, I don't know, it was something that I wanted to do with him, to like share that kind of relationship with him. And when we started, our mornings would start probably around like 7:30 a.m. because we had to get there to make sure everything was going right. 7:30, we do our 9 o'clock mass. We had the 10:30 mass, and our days were like we weren't home till like 12 o'clock.
And that was part of
The commitment we made.
well, not only the commitment but the unknowing of this COVID, because in the beginning, Father Juan didn't want her there. Only because he didn't want to. I mean, we didn't know if he would expose her to something or me, and so we were trying to just follow, keeping our circle small, and so we didn't want her to come. Biggest mistake of your life, buddy.
To let her come.
Not to let her come.
Oh. So, but can you just imagine for you at home and you hear a teenager begging to come to Mass, 2 Masses a day? So that's like unheard of. So, but that's good. So, thank you for being here with us. Any other comments that you want to share with us?
One of the things that I noticed, not real early on in the pandemic, but probably as we got through summer a little bit more, is I noticed that we had, especially at St. Edward's, we have a fairly older population.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew of at least 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 families, I should say, that did not have internet, did not have emails, and had no clue of how do I do online. I mean, they didn't have access to Facebook, they didn't have access to YouTube, and what do they do? And so I started, communicating with a few of them. And I think, hopefully we haven't lost any of them along the way. I'm sure a lot of them are coming back, in person now. But, we still do need to remember that there is a population out there that can't access the online. And, we can't forget about them.
Yes, I share completely that concern with you. One of the beautiful things that St. Edward's and St. Richard has is their monthly letter. Hopefully those who are at home and don't have internet or anything like that are reading that, because we are trying to be connected and sharing with them through the monthly letter that we send. So we don't have that in St. Patrick's, so people, it's either you look at it, see it in the bulletin or in online, otherwise you don't see it. But here, at least we have, and I, as a priest, I feel connected with them through that. Of course, hopefully, at some point, as they are saying, it's early summer, we will be able to be back, and hopefully, that's another concern that I have. Not only those who are out there, but those, how do we reach people that maybe they kind of, they were on the fringes, and now that the pandemic kind of helped them to live, bringing people back. But I guess internet is one of the tools that we need to use. And thank you for sharing those concerns. Yeah.
Never turn off the mask until I got that last.
The last
Don't shoot the witch.
So that's the beautiful thing. They set up a Facebook for her children. So she doesn't, she didn't have anything, so they set up the Facebook. The only thing I think that she has is the Facebook of the parish, and she's in Mass every day. So since we are able to be now in person back to Mass, she comes to Mass. Of course, one day there was a mistake that she is connected it to the bus, but she's in person here. But the beautiful thing is that shake. She's even in daily mass, in here in person. She does it like like kind of remind me of the hands shaking. That's a beautiful, yes. It's new. So okay, to you who are here, thank you very much for coming and being able to share with all the community, the Catholic community in Central Racine, all your feelings and this experience of the pandemic through the year. I do really want to thank everybody who donated for our online ministry. When we called you and asked you for your support, you were there for us, and we thank you for that. May God abundantly multiply your blessings. We also thank people who attend daily mass, attend our events. It's beautiful to see that we go live, and your mistake before, if you were on live, probably a few people would have connected, because there's people who are really ready to connect with us. Again, we started, and when Eloy and I discussed about the Catholic community in Central Racine having a Facebook page, we started and we have it we started like in October, and we just have like few.
We had about 70 people on there.
Yeah.
And now it's like about almost 1,000.
1,400.
Is it 1,400?
1,400. Yeah, I
just
checked.
in that little bit of time, and the statistics on there. I mean, people are connecting through all of the channels that are out there. I was in the grocery store, and even with a face mask on, somebody recognized me from the online ministry. But I don't think I'm ever in front of the camera, but apparently they kind of know who I am.
When you read, you are.
When you're right, yeah.
Oh yeah, I do.
But yeah, so and this is another thing. A few of the people, maybe a few of you who are listening there, you are not really members of any of the parishes, the Catholic community in Central Racine, but you are members of our online community and connect faithfully to daily mass and to the different activities, and we thank you for that.
So it's been 1 year since we've made these kind of changes, and recounting all of the changes that we've had, and it hasn't always been easy, but like anything, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And so I wanted to, so we have something, a little thing for Father Juan that, it's commemorating his 1 year anniversary. And I'll have Dusa put another blooper video or something out there at some point. But so it's been 1 year. So we have something for Father Juan.
For Father Juan, yeah,
for
for
Father
us.
Juan and for us to commemorate this 1 year.
I don't know, it's taking too long. But yeah, again, I know Eloy, I could. Oh, wow.
So, it's his 1 year birthday.
You have to get this in camera because he has a. But I do like which camera?
That camera over there. So it's not a machine gun. If you look closely on it, it's not a machine gun. It's a camera. It's a camera. So happy 1 year of live streaming CCC Racine.
Okay. Thank you very much for connecting to this. I'm sorry if you were expecting a Bible study and something on any of the Gospels. Well, this was our surprise and gift for you. I know that any of you who are out there could have been here. We just are happy that you made it here today, and thank you for being. You have been faithful every day with us since we began this journey of live streaming. You have been also texting us for our mistakes. I think one of the things that I told Eloy is that we cannot afford any longer to make mistakes. We have become our online ministry is very, very good. So you guys are expecting high quality. So I always tell Eloy, okay, let's don't make any mistake. And of course we make mistakes because we are humans. But it's like the expectations are high, and we like that. We like that's the expectations. And even he has gotten, as you see here, well, those who are here, we have you, throughout the year, we have gotten technology that is better than the beginning. We now are able to connect our house system or sound system to the computer. Before it was microphones that I have here and all that it wasn't working. But sometimes we need to use like that all equipment to do recordings of my moments,
I mean-
and then he doesn't know how it works any longer. Like, oh, come on.
That's so true, and that's how versatile like this stuff. And I know we're running quick on time, but if you remember Father Juan, when he got COVID, he was doing masses from his chapel at his house while I was sitting at home quarantined because he almost got me sick. But we won't talk about that. But that's just how versatile this was. And when you start to go with all of this technology, and it's so true, we wanted to do a camera and a microphone to do a promo video, and I didn't know how to do it because I was so used to all of the cables and running all of this high-tech stuff that I didn't know how to, what they would call dummy it down. It was a learning curve for me.
Anyway, thank you very much, and thank you for your support, and God bless you. And remember, we are one family, one faith, the Catholic community in Central Brazil. Don't correct me.
One family.